Hello, and welcome to First Timers Movie Club.
Yeah, welcome to the club.
I'm Lolo Loren.
And I'm Patrick Poe.
And we are here to talk about movies.
Yeah, this is First Timers Movie Club, the podcast for movie lovers by movie makers. We make movies, and you love them, hopefully.
Indeed.
And we deep dive into a new movie every episode.
Yes, I'm very excited for this week.
Yes. Before we get there, let's remind our listeners to like, subscribe, rate, review.
Yes, click all the buttons.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Click all the buttons. And if you really like us, head on over to patreon.com/ixfilmproductions.
Yeah, there's a lot of exclusive stuff over there, including 9 exclusive episodes of this podcast we did for the Oscars last year.
Yes, there's the exclusive episodes. You can watch our feature films there, as well as exclusive behind the scenes of some of our shorts on the YouTube.
Indeed. But we're glad to have you here today, so thank you.
Yes. We're glad to have you here, but we're also glad to have our guest today.
Yes, we have a guest again.
We absolutely love him. He's another one of our bestest friends in the whole wide world.
True.
He's probably the most inherently talented person I've ever met. It's frustrating sometimes. Like, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, like, oh, that's a thing I wish I was better at, Andrew Tady probably is better than you at it. I just assume.
That is probably true.
Yeah, he's incredible at everything. He's a creative genius, just like Bob Dylan, Childish Gambino, and myself. It's Andrew Tady.
I'm flattered. Thank you.
You should be. I love you, and I'm so glad to have you here.
Thanks. Fun. I'm glad to be here. Looking forward to it. We'll see if it's fun to be here. But
Hopefully it will be.
looking forward to it. We'll see.
I'm so glad you're here because you're honestly, as we were like making lists of movies that we wanted to do on this podcast, and we're realizing some of the movies that we'd both seen, but we wanted to watch on this podcast, a lot of the list we were like, oh, it'd be really fun to have Andrew on for that. So this is hopefully
It's a good trial
the
run.
beginning
We'll
of
see
many.
if Andrew agrees to
Okay.
do more
or
not.
we'll never have you back. No.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. See if I pass the test.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Do
Cool.
So today we are watching.
you want me to say it? Or do you want
I'm
to
just
say
going to let you say it because you did all the research
Sunset
for
Boulevard.
it. Which I have seen.
And I have seen.
And I have not seen.
All right, so Sunset Boulevard, Andrew, as you announced in our intro, what do you know about it?
I mean, the basic premise, and that's about it. I mean, I know it's one of those movies that you should see if you're a movie person. I mean, it's one of the movies about making movies, vaguely. I mean, there's more to it than that, but it's a genre of movie that I don't know. I don't have really any preconceptions about it. It's just not a movie that's really been on my radar. It's just one of those ones that you just hear the title and you go, oh yeah, it's a classic movie. Yeah, okay, people reference that. I don't really even know if there's anything pop culturally that I've seen that relates to it or anything otherwise. I'm pretty much flying in blind. I have no idea what to expect
But you
beyond
kind
the
of-
basic premise. Yeah.
No, you think you know what the plot is?
Yeah,
What
yeah,
plot
more
do
or
you
less.
know?
I mean, so from my understanding, it's an older actress trying to get back into the scene, and she meets a younger writer, I believe, right? Who's like basically like, I got a film we can do, and it's gonna like jumpstart your career, basically. And
Okay.
hilarity ensues, I assume, and or drama,
Those are the two options, aren't they?
pretty much, yeah,
For
or
most
tragedy,
things.
Yeah.
but that's partially drama, or humorous if you're mean.
Depends how close you are to it.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
Think, is the...
Yeah, for sure. Really depends. But yeah, so that's it. We don't have to watch it now, right? We pretty much told the whole story.
I think so.
Is
I
that
think
kind of
Andrew
why
just
you've
summed it
never
up.
watched it? Is because you just feel like you know what it is and who cares?
No, not really. It's just I'm woefully out of touch with most things.
It is kind of fun because, yeah, this is like one of those movies, like, I watched it in college in a film class. They were like, you've got to watch Sunset Boulevard, write a paper on it. So, like, that's why I've seen it. And I just kind of love that, yeah, you're like our filmmaker friend. You're like, fuck it, who cares? Like,
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure you'll come to find out if I do more of these things. There's just lots of stuff that, like, again, the whole purpose of this podcast is like those movies everybody should have seen. Like, I was just like, that's like me to a T. I haven't seen anything,
well, that's kind of what we loved as we were like making the list. We were like, oh fuck, we could show Andrew like any of these because I don't know if he's watched a movie.
I'll be like, I'm honest. I've listened to like half of the podcasts mostly because I only listen to the ones that I've seen.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to spoil the ones I haven't seen. If I do decide to watch them, I'll listen to it in tandem with whenever I get around to watching it. But I haven't seen like the majority of things that you guys have gone over. So,
yeah. Which I mean, all of those, like, it's because one of us hasn't either, you know.
Yeah.
So it's been fun having an excuse to actually like sit down and watch those movies, because a lot of these movies are ones that we had gotten around to until we were like,
It's really easy with some of those like really famous movies to just be like, yeah, I kind of get it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it.
I don't need to like deep dive into the film nerddom, except like that is my personality of like, I feel like I need to like consider myself a filmmaker. Like I need to see those movies. So I like watch them obsessively, and
you put a lot of pressure.
I do put a lot of pressure on myself. But Andrew's super chill and just like doesn't care. He's like, I make movies. So
yeah,
it's like, I've seen the BBC Sherlock Holmes. That's all I need.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll watch whatever else we're ripping off right before we rip it off too. So
yeah, I mean, you've seen Blade Runner, so that's under the sun.
Yeah.
Have you seen Blade Runner?
Yeah, I've seen Blade Runner.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen actual Blade Runner more than Sam's seen actual Blade Runner. He's more into the sequel. Yeah. Which
is what more inspires his Under the Sun.
I mean, yeah, more aesthetically, I think, more than anything.
Yeah.
Like, they differ vastly in terms of
not
plot
at
and
all,
content.
but some of the visuals, the coloring.
Yeah. You can definitely see the filmic inspiration, which is kind of like what we talk about on this podcast a lot, is like the thoughts that keep going throughout film through decades.
Yeah.
That live in all of our collective consciousness.
Yep.
And all that such and such. Those old so-and-sos.
Do you want to just tell us a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to tell us about this.
Information about it?
Yeah. So it came out in 1950.
Okay.
It was not one of the highest grossing films of 1950.
Okay. It was not.
It was not.
Okay.
It was well received.
Yeah.
But not one of the highest grossing 10. I'm going to kind of like hit a couple of these. I don't think I need to do all 10. Samson and Delilah was the top.
Okay.
Annie Get Your Gun is up there. The original Cheaper by the Dozen. Cinderella by Disney.
Oh, okay.
Came out in 50. The original Father of the Bride. All About Eve. Those are kind of the bigger films of...
All About Eve is one we need to do.
Yeah, because I've never seen that.
It's a good one.
It's like... I don't know what that is. Is it noir-y?
Oh, well, we won't talk about that now.
Okay, fine. I was intrigued, but...
Oh, well, I didn't want to, like, tell you all about it if we're going to do it.
You can't blow all your content now on
Yeah.
that one. But
Exactly.
I guess you're right.
Save that for another episode.
Okay, fine. Well, they kind of tie together in a weird way.
Oh,
So,
okay.
not like in a real big way.
We should just do a double feature then.
Let's stay up all night.
Lolo'll just start telling us all about Eve
Yeah.
facts that she just knows off the top of her head.
I do love that movie.
Something interesting about this movie that like I found intriguing as I was kind of doing research for it was realizing that like there's a very small cast to this film.
Oh, really?
It's very small. There are, in fact, 4-ish important actors.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's just like kind of filled in barely. But like one of the special features is you can go through the opening of his screenplay on the Blu-ray, and like it opens with like the list of characters and cast, right? Like a screenplay does.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got like 4 people, and then it's just like, and then we fill in the rest as we need. And you're like, whoa, okay, cool.
It's been a while since I've seen it. I didn't realize it was that small.
I hadn't realized that either, because it's been since I was in college since I've watched this movie.
I mean, it's like a lot of the incidental people, because it's like Hollywood seem to be like actual people playing themselves, which is
You are correct.
interesting.
Yeah. And we'll talk about them a lot. And there's even some fun stuff with that in these other 4. So Eric von Stordheim is one of the like main guys in it. I don't want to talk much about him before we see it, but I'm just listing our actors, so I'm just going to give you that about him. I'll give you some good trivia later.
Okay.
The like second lead woman is Nancy Olson. This is like her second film ever.
Oh.
She'd done one other film where she was like uncredited girl in high school or whatever, and then another thing, and then now she's in Sunset Boulevard as a lead. And our lead guy for the movie is William Holden, plays our lead. He was a big leading guy of the 40s. His first big film was Golden Boy, that led to like his rise.
Okay, so he was already
stardom.
famous
He
because I know
was.
William Holden, but not his timeline.
Yeah, he'd been famous
Okay.
since the 40s.
Okay.
And then like was a big star in all the 40s, and then after this he got like kind of even bigger.
Okay.
And Billy Wilder, who directed this film, which we'll get into in a bit, he worked with William Holden a lot actually, and like he's one of the leads in Stalag 17. He's in the original Sabrina. He's in the movie adaptation of Picnic. One of his big like things is he's in Bridge on the River Kwai. If you've seen that, Andrew, it feels like a movie you've seen. Have you?
No, I haven't.
Me either.
I've only seen bits of it.
Okay, it just
You
seemed like
know?
something your dad would watch that you would like watch with him.
Nah, surprisingly not.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then he's also in The Wild Bunch.
Okay.
So that's William Holden. I haven't seen a lot of his movies, but he's a big star guy. And then the lead of the movie is Gloria Swanson. She was 51 when they filmed this. She's born March 27th, 1899, which is just like wild to like think of like 1899.
Yeah.
And then she's like in a movie that's like only like a generation-ish away from us, you know, like time is so weird.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Like I was watching a documentary today about the Dune film that never got made, Jodorowsky's Dune. And like he was talking about meeting Salvador Dali to be in the movie.
Yeah.
And that's just like weird to my brain. And then he was talking about Dali talking about a story of him and Picasso hanging out. And I was like, that shouldn't, because Jodorowsky's alive right now. He shouldn't be that close to Picasso. It's just too close.
I mean, Picasso wasn't that long ago.
But it feels like it in my brain.
I suppose, yeah.
Does it not in your
Feels
brain?
like a
No.
different world.
Okay.
Not really.
I mean, I know
guess.
watching it, yeah, it just felt like very different worlds to me because Dolly was involved in the same production that never got made with the guy who did all the design for Alien.
And like in a movie that never got made with Pink Floyd that was supposed to compose it, which is just like
That'd been dope, actually.
it would have been
There's
pretty
a lot
dope.
of worlds
Yeah.
collided in that. Yeah, that never came to fruition. But
Yeah, but Gloria Swanson,
yes.
Yes.
she started acting in 1914, so like when movies were invented, I guess,
Pretty
Something like that.
much.
More or less.
at the age of 15, and she was a huge star in silent pictures. She worked with Cecil B. DeMille a lot, and her like look was what like was considered the epitome of like 1920s women were trying to be Gloria Swanson.
Okay.
If you were in the 1920s, you wanted to look like her. That was what you based your hairstyle, makeup, everything was based on her look in the silent pictures.
Okay.
She consistently worked up until 1934 when talkies took off. That kind of
Ruined
hurt.
everything.
Yeah.
God.
God, it made filmmaking so much harder. Why can't we go back?
So she lived the plot of Singing in the Rain.
Yes.
She was killed by talkies.
Very. Which this movie came just a little bit before Singing in the Rain, just by the way.
So, okay.
Because Singing in the Rain does have a weird comedic take on a similar plot.
Yeah.
This is pre-Singing in the Rain.
Okay.
Yeah, she did a movie called Father Takes a Wife in 1941. And then that was like her first film after 34. And then she did nothing until this film.
Oof.
She was apparently working in radio in New York, which just made me laugh because,
Talkies killed her career.
yeah, she couldn't make it in the talkies, but apparently in radio, they're
Yeah.
like, sure, come on over. She has 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Yeah.
Okay.
She has 1 for her movie work, and she has 1 for her television work, which she did all after this film.
Neat.
Oh, I didn't know they did that
Apparently they do.
for like different things. I thought it was just like you had a star, you didn't have a star.
New life goals.
Yeah. Have
You
more
know,
stars than
multiple
Gloria
s-
Swanson.
Yeah, I gotta have 2.
I think you can do it, Andrew. I believe in you.
Yeah. Get on it.
So the movie is written by Charles Brackett, Billy Wilder, and D.M. Marshman Jr.
I did not remember it was a Billy Wilder picture at all.
Yeah, it is.
Huh. Okay.
It's actually Charles Brackett and Billy Wilder's 17th time writing a movie together.
Well, prolific fuckers.
Yeah. And this is like not even like, we're not even at like the height of Billy
Peak
Wilder's
career.
career, but this is the last time Charles Brackett and Billy Wilder wrote together.
Okay.
They were
Because am I
done.
sorry if I'm jumping ahead?
You're good.
Is my brain like confused, or was Billy Wilder's like peak stuff was way later, wasn't it? Or is he was earlier than he
Not
is
way
in my
later.
brain. Oh,
He's
okay.
just worked for a very long time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Was his big stuff 50s then? Or I thought he was more of a... Yeah, 50s, 60s.
50s,
Okay.
60s.
Okay.
Yeah. So they wrote it together, and then they brought in D.M. Marshman Jr. to help the two of them kind of like fix it and condense it and like finish it, it seems like. Which I thought was funny that they hired him because they were struggling to like finish this script.
Mm-hmm.
And he was actually a journalist at the time, and they'd been impressed by his critique of an earlier film they did, The Emperor's Waltz. So they were like, well, let's hire the guy who
critiqued our
critiqued
film
our movie. Well, yeah.
That's like not a horrible idea.
No.
If you were like, oh no, he pointed out all the right stuff, we should have.
Yeah, if like it's a honest critique that's genuine, like that's,
Yeah.
apparently he knows how to make a movie. Theoretically, a good critic should be able to make a good movie.
You'd think, right?
I feel like
In
it's
theory.
I feel like being a good fixer is a very different skill than being a good like creator. Both like valuable skill sets, but I feel like some people have both and some people don't.
I guess. But like if you can see what's wrong with it or what's good about it, you should be able to like use those skills to do the same.
But it's easier to see that from a distance.
True.
That's why it was great to bring him in after, because he still had some distance from it.
True. Okay. Yes, this is director Billy Wilder.
Yeah.
It's the movie. I learned today that English is his second language.
Billy Wilder?
Famous writer-director Billy Wilder.
Huh.
English is his second language.
Cool.
That is very cool. Where's he from then? What's he speak?
I think it's German.
Okay.
I know he started as a newspaper writer. In 1929, he broke into screenwriting in Germany, making films in Germany for a really long time.
Okay.
Until Hitler came to power in 1933. Then he left Germany for Paris.
Gotcha.
But eventually he went from Paris to the U.S., and he went to the U.S. to go to Hollywood to make movies before he even knew English.
Oh.
Which I thought was like a wild, like, yeah, I'm going to make American movies. Don't speak the language. A lot of people say that that's like why he's such a good writer, though. And like he's obsessed with idiom because he like sees those little like intricacies of the English language, you know, because he had to learn
like
it.
Actually studied it in a different way than.
Yeah. I've lost Andrew to his phone.
It's German. Yep. Just checking.
Okay.
He's helping you.
Yeah.
In 1942, he directed his first movie, which was The Major and the Minor, starring Ginger Rogers.
Oh.
And the reason he directed that was because he was like an up-and-coming writer in Hollywood, and he'd done a bunch of movies back in Germany as a writer and in Paris as a writer. And Ginger Rogers had say on the director of that picture. That was in her contract. She could pick her director,
Oh.
and she picked him
Wow.
to direct it. Before Sunset Boulevard,
Mm-hmm.
he obviously did Major and the Minor, but some of the more famous movies he did was Double Indemnity he'd already done. He did Lost Weekend, The Emperor Waltz, and A Foreign Affair.
There's some big ones in there already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Double Indemnity is incredible. After Sunset Boulevard, he did Stalag 17, the original Sabrina, 7 Year Itch, Some Like It Hot, The Apartment, and Private Lives of Sherlock Holmes, which I listed only because of you, Andrew.
Okay.
And that was just to list a few of what he did, but like that's
Yeah.
a big fucking career.
Yeah.
Those are all incredible movies, and like a lot of people credit him as like writing and directing one of the best comedies of all time in Some Like It Hot, one of the best war POW films of all time in Stalag 17, and like the top like crime noir in Double Indemnity.
Yeah.
So 3 different genres, and he's like directed some of the best of all time.
So should he have 3 stars on the?
At least
Yeah.
he needs more stars
Walk
than
of
Andrew.
Fame?
Yeah. At least 2.
Like if Gloria Swanson has 2, Billy Wilder should have more than Gloria Swanson. Like, she's amazing, but like, did she direct Some Like It Hot and Double Indemnity? I don't think so. He died in 2002 at the age of 95. So he just had a long time to make a lot of movies,
Gotcha.
though.
Yeah. I think that's probably why I thought his hits were more.
Well, yeah, because
recent.
like 7 Year Itch, Some Like It Hot in The Apartment are like
Those are all
60s, probably.
probably 50s. For Some Like It Hot, I bet it's in the 50s. But we can come back around.
Do you want me to check it? I'll check it. It'll take me 2 seconds. We'll check this.
Well, because you just said All About Eve was 1950, and Marilyn Monroe's in that.
I did say that.
And I don't think 7 Year Itch was more than 10 years into her career, so I'm sure it was 50s.
Some Like It Hot was 59.
Oh.
Sabrina was 54. Apartment was 60.
Alright.
So, yeah, I guess they were mostly 50s.
Okay. All
There you
right.
go.
Stalag 17 is 53. Sabrina's 54. 7 Years 55.
Damn, good decade for him.
Some Like It Hot 59. Apartment 60. So, yeah, from 50 to 60, he did
He just did everything.
most of his big works, and they're all incredible.
Cool.
What a great decade.
Yeah.
I want a decade like that.
Okay.
Can we get like 30 to 40, you think? 20, 30 to
Sure.
20, 40? I think we could do 10 incredible films.
Sure, let's do it.
Yeah.
We'll make it the goal. Huh?
So this movie, though, talking about Sunset Boulevard, it has 11 Oscar nominations and 3 wins.
Okay. I knew it was a big one.
Do we
in
want
the
to
awards?
guess what the wins are? Do we want to play our favorite game? What are the wins?
You need a jingle for all these segments.
Do you want to give us a jingle?
No.
Okay. So I'll give Lola the first guess. What's the win?
The screenplay.
Best writing, story, and screenplay was a win. Correct. Andrew?
Best actress.
Best Actress was a nomination
Okay.
for Gloria Swanson.
Picture.
Best Picture nomination.
Oh, what took it?
Lost to All About Eve.
Oh, man. Okay, yeah, we should just, do that next. Wow. Okay, all right.
Back to you, Andrew.
Costumes. Was that a thing back then? I don't know.
I don't know if costumes was a thing back then.
Might not have been yet.
It doesn't have a nomination or a win for it.
Director.
Director was a nomination.
Okay.
Lolo.
Cinematography.
Cinematography's nomination. John F. Seats.
The fuck did it win for?
Best cinematography, black and white, because we're in that period of.
Oh, we're
okay.
separate.
Film.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see.
Do you want me to give you the wins?
Did William Holden win?
William Holden was nominated.
Okay, the fuck were the other 2 Oscars then? I don't know.
Best art direction, set direction, black and white.
Okay.
Hans Dreyer, John Meehan, Sam Cooner, and Ray Moyer. And the other win was best score of a dramatic or comedy picture. That's how it's written, which is a weird thing.
Yeah.
Franz Waxman.
What other category is it that they need to specify of a dramatic or comedy picture?
I don't know
musical?
what other kind of. Yeah, I guess
Musicals,
that doesn't
I guess,
count.
were separate from
scoring
score,
of a musical.
probably, 'cause musicals were so big for me. I don't know. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And then it also nomination for Best Actor in a Supporting Role, Eric von Stroheim. Best Actress in a Supporting Role, Nancy Olson. And Best Film Editing, Arthur P. Schmidt and
We're all nominations.
Don Harrison. We're all nominations.
Okay.
So it had all of the main category nominations.
Yeah.
Shit. All right.
All 4 acting ones, directing, cinematography, editing, and picture.
Yeah.
And then writing. But it won that one,
Cool.
which is just wild.
Yeah.
At the Golden Globes, it had 7 nominations, 4 wins.
Cool.
The wins were for Best Motion Picture,
Oh, okay, so it beat All About Eve there.
Best Director, and Best Actress Drama, Gloria Swanson, and Best Original Score.
Okay.
And then nominations were Supporting, Eric von Stroheim, Screenplay, and Cinematographer, Black and White. Yeah, so those were all of its awards. To talk about its legacy before we see it, it's gone on to kind of influence a lot of different things, including there was a musical made by Don Black, Christopher Hampton, and Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Oh.
In 1992 or 3 is when it opened, with Glenn Close in the leading role. And it was actually revived somewhat recently, and then they were actually about to make a movie adaptation of that musical in 2020, but then it was shut down due to COVID-19.
Huh. I have never heard that music.
I listened to it once,
Yeah.
but it didn't stick with me
Sure.
because I was kind of obsessed with the movie at the time.
Yeah.
Carol Burnett did a reoccurring sketch called Sunset Boulevard on the Carol Burnett Show.
Great.
Tiny Toon Adventures, American Dad, Archer, and Third Rock from the Sun all have episodes that are just straight parodies of this. American Dad even did it twice. They've done 2.
They're like, oh, wait, I have another joke idea.
Yeah, apparently.
Let's do it again.
Twin Peaks has a character. Have you seen Twin Peaks? Me either. We haven't watched enough David Lynch in this household. But there's a character named after a character in this movie in Twin Peaks.
Oh.
And then Lynch has stated this film being a huge inspiration just on him and his style in general. And the creation of Mulholland Drive kind of has some Sunset Boulevard. It's a neo-noir. All of his stuff's neo-noir, which this film is technically film noir, and I want to really discuss that after seeing the picture.
Okay.
In 2010, there was a movie called London Boulevard that's like the same movie, it seems like, and it looks not for me.
Okay.
Interesting. I think I've seen part of that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a weird thing. It was probably made in Europe, and that seems like something you'd watch.
Well, I think there was a song on the soundtrack that was on an album that I liked, but the song came out in that movie soundtrack before the album came out, so it was like a little tease.
Got it.
So,
Who was it? The song
if I'm
by?
thinking of the right movie, I think it was a Kasabian tune, if I remember correctly. This is a movie with Colin Farrell in it? Is that the one I'm thinking of, or is that a different
It is
fucking
Keira
movie?
Knightley.
Okay,
Colin
yeah, that's
Farrell.
the one then. Yeah,
What?
yeah.
Is it just like a remake then? Kind of?
Not really. It's got some aspects of it,
Okay.
but it looks like it's more a lot of things.
Okay.
Apparently, I've never seen Desperate Housewives.
A little
Apparently
bit.
you haven't.
No,
I thought you had.
no, I haven't. I definitely haven't.
I've seen a little bit, not a lot.
Apparently, the opening bits, like the opening season, kind of is influenced by this movie and steals some aspects with how it's narrated and other things like that.
Oh.
But
It's been too long since I've seen either. I can't remark on that.
I didn't watch Desperate Housewives,
Cool.
so it was added to the Library of Congress and the National Film Registry in 1989, which we kind of give that like trivia for a lot of the movies we've watched.
Mm-hmm.
I looked into the National Library of Congress today and the National Film Registry.
See if everybody's in it? No.
Well, to kind of figure out some things like that.
Yeah.
And well, because I just saw something recently about, I think like Return of the Jedi was just added this year. And one of my friends was like, just this year? They just figured out it was culturally significant? Sorry for putting you on blast, whoever that was on Facebook.
Yeah. I mean, it was the worst of the original three. So
Return of the Jet?
Whatever, Andrew. You can be wrong. There is no worst. They're all equally amazing.
Oh, okay, that's not true, obviously.
Fight.
Anyway.
No. Well, so it was just added.
But so it was just added. But Sunset Boulevard was added forever ago.
Yeah.
So, apparently, the National Film Registry was started at the plea of Martin Scorsese, Frank Capra, and some other like filmmakers and film influencey people,
Okay.
because they were starting to like realize and take note that some of these films, that their film originals were being destroyed or lost or like pan and scanned for television or colorized, and the original film stocks were getting destroyed or were disappearing. And so they believed that we needed to keep those safe somehow. So they went and pled to Congress to try to keep these film stocks safe.
Gotcha.
So in 1988, they succeeded at doing that. And they decided, I guess, that Congress, the Library of Congress, picks 25 films every year that they deem historically relevant to store and protect the original film negatives of.
Okay.
So Sunset Boulevard was actually on the first list of 25 films inducted into the National Film Registry in 1989.
Shit. Okay.
And there are now 825 films on the registry to date, being saved and preserved by the Library of Congress.
So, like, 25 films a year sounds like a lot, but that's actually a very, very
I was
selective.
going to say, that's a very small number. I thought it was a lot more.
They make
It seems like a lot considering
thousands
almost
come out
every episode
year.
we've done. We're like, it was on the National Film Registry. And
Well,
like, we're
we've
kind of
also
like,
been starting with pretty famous movies.
yeah, but
so.
we also didn't know what it was. We've kind of just like thrown that
Yeah.
out there. Just like, oh, it's out there. But like, it's cool to kind of know what the history of that is. And
Yeah.
Yeah. So a number I just want to know really quick is how many films like came out in, we'll do 2019 because 2020 was not.
oh, just to see how many films every year. But also you have to think that like we started in 89.
Yeah, no, there's a lot to make up for
But
too.
films
and,
started
they
being
just
made.
added Return of the Jedi, you know. Like, yeah.
Do they even have an original of that one?
I know.
doubt
I
it.
really
It's-
wonder.
they don't. I'm certain of it. I bet it's got an empty spot like Star Wars does.
What?
Yeah, they don't have a copy of Star Wars.
Is there not anymore? That one's gone.
No, it exists. George Lucas gave them the special edition, and they were like, "This isn't what we asked for." And he was like, "Well, that's the movie done," and so there's just a blank thing for it.
Interesting.
Like it's on the list, but an official like original as it came out is not in there.
So
That sucks.
the number.
So that's what I'm wondering. I don't know about the other one. Sorry.
That's
go ahead.
weird. No, you're good. The number of films released in the United States in 2019 was almost 800. In 2018, it was almost 900.
Cool.
It's a lot. It's a very selective list. I
Yeah.
just wanted to see how selective. Sorry.
Very, very selective.
Very selective.
Yeah, incredibly selective. What's interesting is that their criteria isn't that selective. That like, I mean, obviously they only select 25, but you can like nominate films. They don't have to have been screened in theaters. They can be partial films. They can be like also. It's very interesting.
Well, I mean, we've even like done a pretty wide range of weird films on the podcast, and a surprising number from around that list. It's not even like it's exclusive to like.
Yeah, I mean they call them culturally significant, but
Yeah.
and most of the films we've done have been culturally significant.
Yeah, but they haven't all been like big Oscar pictures, and
True.
they haven't. You know.
True. It ranked number 12 on the AFI Best 100 Films list of the 20th century in 1998. And then when they did their most recent list, 2007, it did drop to 16th.
Oh.
Apparently 4 films better than it had come out between 98 and 2007.
Or they just shuffled it.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the two lists to compare. Just saying.
Yeah.
Gloria Swanson's performance as Norma Desmond is ranked 32 on Premiere Magazine's 100 Greatest Movie Characters of All Time. There are, let's see, I'll tell you what they are after the movie, but one of the lines from this film is voted the 7th most quoted line of all time by AFI, and then another line was voted number 24 by AFI.
Oh, okay.
And then Premiere Magazine listed one of them at 6th in the 100 greatest movie lines of all time, and then another one was 13th, and another one was 91st.
So it's considered a very quoted movie.
It's very quotable.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued because I can't think of what it is off the top of my head.
Oh my God.
Me either.
Yeah, but I've seen it, so I should know, Andrew. I should know.
I learned today that this film is the inspiration for the Metallica song "The Memory Remains."
Okay.
And I listened to the song, and yeah, like you can feel it in there. And then I looked it up, and Metallica said that this is what the song's about.
Oh, okay.
It's about this movie.
Cool.
Which I just thought was weird. I didn't expect Metallica to write a song about a weird black and white noir film from 1950. But goes to show those guys really like...
They're eclectic dudes.
Yeah,
Clearly.
apparently.
Cool.
This is on the list of 1001 movies to see before you die. So you're one movie closer to dying, Andrew.
Thank goodness.
And it is on Roger Ebert's, which I just learned this existed.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently Roger Ebert had a list of great movies.
Okay.
It's just Robert Ebert's list of great movies.
Okay.
This is on that list of great movies.
Cool.
There are, in fact, I learned this also, which is fun for New Year's. Oh, yeah. Happy New Year's. This is our New Year's episode.
It is our
Oh,
New Year's
Happy New Year's,
episode.
everybody.
This
Happy
will come
New
out on New Year's Eve. Happy New Year's Day. Hope you're enjoying the new year.
Woo.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But this is on that list of Roger Ebert, Greatest Movie List. The list has 364 films on it. So you could watch one great movie a day for a year. Just throwing it out there.
You could.
Or one every other day for 2 years.
Oh, that seems more doable.
Yeah.
That's making achievable
Or
resolutions.
One a
Andrew.
week for... I can't do that one. Sorry. Not that quick with the math.
Math is hard.
Anyways.
Well, that's it. That's all the stuff about this movie
That's
that I wanted
it?
to tell you.
Ugh. I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
I'm sorry, Andrew. Did I not do good enough for you?
No, it was okay.
Did
I was
disappoint you?
joking. It was sarcasm.
All right. Well, let's watch this movie.
Cool.
Let's celebrate the new year. Should we do like resolutions? Should we tell resolutions on the?
No, it's a lot of pressure. I'm going to take it easy this year.
All right, cool. No resolutions. Eat all the food you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
Be merry. Enjoy 2022.
Indeed.
Don't put too much pressure on it.
No.
All
Yeah.
right.
Enjoy it. Don't enjoy it. No pressure.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I have some treats for us.
Oh, yay.
Oh.
Yeah. I looked into treats of the 19, which we're watching this movie because there was a New Year's party in it. I Googled movies with
Okay,
New
gotcha,
Year's
gotcha.
and it was the top one.
Okay, cool.
But I also looked into treats of the 1950s.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently in 1950, like Cracker Jacks and caramel corn was really big. So we have some caramel corn, popcorn
Nice.
to munch on.
Yum.
And then famous drinks in the 1950s. Apparently gin was really big.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is a weird thing to say on the podcast, and you can tell me to cut it out if you want. But also, Lolo's grandmother just passed away.
She did.
And
Sorry to hear
Tanner, her and her husband, Tom Collins.
Mm-hmm.
The Tom Collins was apparently one of the biggest drinks in 1950.
Was it really?
So
Brilliant.
we're gonna make some Tom Collinses.
Oh, that's
yeah.
adorable.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lovely little tribute to
Exactly.
Tom and Joe Collins.
Yeah. So we'll
That's very
celebrate
cute.
them, celebrate the new year, eat some popcorn, watch Sunset Boulevard.
I love it. Let's do it.
All right, this is Sunset Boulevard.
Do, 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 do. However that song goes.
It goes just like that, Andrew.
All right. Well, you have now seen Sunset Boulevard.
I have.
What'd you think?
It was good. I really enjoyed it.
Are you more of a film knowledge, film nerd?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
More of a filmmaker
Feel
now?
educated?
Yeah, I feel like I'm versed in the classics now. You know, that's all I needed.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I now having seen it as I do anytime I watch one of these kind of classic movies, you go, okay, that's what that's from. Gotcha, cool. I've been in the dark on the inside joke. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. It was really good.
That's that feeling that I always get whenever I watch like one of these movies like this. I'm always like, yeah, I don't think I need to see it. And then I usually watch them and I go, oh yeah, they're good.
Yeah, there's a reason.
get
Yeah,
it.
there's a reason that it's on the list. No, it was, it was like again, not knowing what to expect besides basic plot synopsis. A bit darker than I was expecting, but also very funny. Like just clever writing. I particularly like. I mean, the guy's a writer in the film, and so he's quick with the quips and everything. I'm just like, gosh, to be able to be off the cuff like that.
That was one of those movies where you're like, man, if people only spoke like that in real life.
Right, exactly. Yeah, there's like old timey phrases in there too. Sometimes you're like, let's bring that back. That's great. Nobody says that enough, or that really punctuates the sentiment that I want to say more than like the modern equivalent would. You know what I mean?
Like you smell like a new car.
Yeah, or you're gonna think I've been such a heel or whatever. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's like a
Heel's a great one.
heel's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only used in wrestling now.
Yeah, the only other time I've heard it is because I've been hearing the Grinch song play all Christmas season, and they say he's a heel.
Do
And
they?
yeah, they say you really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus, as charming as an eel. And I was like, oh, okay.
You and the Grinch, you're really
Yeah.
a heel.
Yep, that's right. Him and that guy in the movie. But yeah, no, very, very cool.
It is a really well made movie, and like, it's interesting because the movie starts with him dead, and then the whole movie you're just waiting to get to
Yeah.
him dead again.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that was even so you're like willing it to not happen. You're like, oh come on, no, okay, there it goes. Yeah, fuck.
Yeah, you're like, maybe he could maybe live,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
it's one of those movies that every time you watch it, you're like, maybe he'll end up with the girl this time. No, he dies.
It's odd that he narrates it when he's dead, but whatever. It's artistic license, but
That's one of the things that like is one of those like film school debates that everybody has, because the whole film is told from the perspective of his ghost pretty much, right? And he's in every scene because of that, because he had to have been there to tell the story to you, except when she visits Paramount Lot. She has a scene alone
yeah,
with Cecil B. DeMille that
yes.
he couldn't have experienced to tell you the story of what had happened there.
Right.
But like, then there's that like, well, maybe he figured it out or guessed, or like, I don't know, it doesn't matter because, but it is interesting because it is like this narrative from a single point of view,
Except for that one scene.
except that scene.
Yeah. I mean, I did find that a little odd, but like you see that all the time. It's just one of those things where you have to have some suspension of your disbelief to, just enjoy it for what it is. And
that scene's
Also, I
so
I
important
didn't
to
think
the...
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. I mean, I think that's really the point where she starts to go off the deep end, really, because, even just the spotlight guy, and, it's just, yeah.
And you get that sad moment where all the old timers like
Yeah.
recognize her and come and flock to her.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
It's very sad. The whole thing is very sad.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was less of a film people's movie than I expected. Like, it was definitely more, character driven. I feel like the problem with some movies like that, where it's like it's a movie about filmmakers doing film stuff, it tends to, you know, I don't know, get too into jargon and like, oh, it's about like, you know, stuff that movie people find interesting, but not necessarily the general public. And I feel like there was a lot of that in old Hollywood. Like there was intrigue about Hollywood itself specifically, and so there was a lot of movies that dealt with movie stuff. And I think it was also just a cheap bet for the studio. It's the same reason there's like, no matter what indie market you go to, there's always the people that made that movie about people making a movie. Thanks, production. And but like there's tons of other ones too, and you know, some are good, some are, you know, okay.
Some are Mr. Lee. No.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it definitely exceeded my expectations, them being pretty much nothing. So, you know,
That's good to hear.
I was like, I'm sure it'll be a fine movie, but I really, really enjoyed it. Yeah, I'd watch it again.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Talking about like, the fact that it is like darker than a comedy,
but still very witty.
but still witty. Like, cause like, well, Billy Wilder
kind of
is
Billy Wilder's
very
writing.
witty.
Yeah.
And like he edges a dark line a lot of the times. Like The Apartment,
It's very dark.
I have not seen, but I know it's really dark.
Mm-hmm.
And then they made like a really happy-go-lucky musical out of it, which is kind of funny because like it's a dark movie.
Yeah,
what I've
but
heard.
he is always witty. He's
Yeah.
never not witty.
Yeah. Like I called all the yes men, they told me no. Like that's like, it's just those like little quips that Billy Wilder thinks of.
I think you have to have that to make it not miserable to watch, because there's definitely people that do make miserable movies that are just miserable, and it's just a slog, and you don't even want to watch the whole thing because it's just like, this is just tedious.
Yeah. But like the movie used to open in a different way, actually.
Oh.
And it opened with the same like Sunset Boulevard shot of the gutter into the street, and then eventually a coroner's car drove by, and then it followed the coroner's car all the way to the morgue, and they put him into the morgue, and then they did like a bunch of like pans across toe tags, and then when they got to him, he would like start talking to the other like all the dead bodies started chatting, and then he would like pop up and like kind of like was this weird conversation between him and a dead body, like, yeah, so how'd you die?
Or is that something that's actually out there that you can watch if you find it or something?
So the Blu-ray special features have the script for it, and they have clips you can watch of it, but the clips you can watch are only up until...
But it never made it to like circulation. It never was aired that way, right?
In previews.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, gotcha.
It made it to preview screenings.
Okay.
And in preview screenings, audiences thought it was hilarious. And so Billy had it cut because he was like, oh, they're laughing too much.
It was too funny for the rest of the film.
It's too funny of an
Gotcha.
opening, as opposed to the bleak, somber,
Yeah.
dead person floating in a pool that it opens
so they
with
cut
now.
the whole scene in favor of just straight narration.
Yeah. Which
Makes
apparently
sense.
one of the, as they like kind of kept asking and like inquiring the audience of like why the opening was so funny. Apparently one of the things that they all found humorous is that the like toe tag thing wasn't common knowledge yet. So they just thought the idea of having little name tags on people's toes was funny.
They didn't know that was just like
That's odd.
Yeah.
They didn't have CSI and Law and Order yet.
Yeah.
There was like 600 crime shows
Yeah,
that showed them
exactly.
that.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
That's funny.
So just seeing it made them giggle, and then when the body started talking, that was even funnier. And so like it was
Sure.
just this like whole weird.
Well, and once you start an audience laughing,
Yeah, that's why you have to, if you're making a comedy, you got to make that laugh quick so that you can
and
tell
then
them
they
like
laugh
this is
the
a
whole
comedy.
time, and that was the problem. They got the laugh quick. And then-
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So instead they open with a dead body.
Yeah, that's
It's much more dramatic.
yeah.
It sets a tone.
It does.
Something I find interesting about this film, and that like she does go to jail at the end, I guess,
or an asylum.
or an asylum. Yeah, true.
She goes somewhere.
But
Or
what's
to court to
interesting
be acquitted. We don't know.
Yeah, very fair.
is this film is made at the height of the Hays Code. So we're still very much in like censorship in Hollywood. And this film seems really bleak to me
Yeah.
for a lot of the rules of Hollywood censorship from the like
It also doesn't like
30s, 40s, 50s.
directly break anything. Oh, does it?
It doesn't, because she is like she does have comeuppance for her crimes. And like there's no adultery technically. And there's
depends on who you talk to. I think old what's his name in Arizona might have been like, well, hey man, you know. But yeah, maybe
but nothing is explicitly
right.
Yeah, I don't think he would have loved Joe Gillis kissing her on the nose.
Yeah, he'd have been like, whoa, buddy, hey, hold on.
But it was just interesting to me when I like thought about that, because this movie feels really like edgy.
Yeah.
For 50.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I would say definitely. It's kind of what Billy Wilder does, though, and he's always
I
got
haven't
away with
really
it
seen enough Billy Wilder movies to.
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
I mean, they wouldn't show Some Like It Hot in Kansas.
That's
so
true. It
wouldn't
wasn't
show
allowed
it.
to show because it was
too
inappropriate
scandalous.
for Kansas audiences.
Yeah, well, yeah. everything like west of Lawrence is a bit, and especially back then, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Especially just two men dressing as women. They couldn't. That was not appropriate for Kansas audiences.
Yeah.
So the lines that were voted for those top lines.
I remembered one of them before we got to it, and
We did at one point. Lola turned and she was like,
I went, Mr. Demille, I'm ready for my close-up. I couldn't believe I forgot that.
Yeah.
So
That'd be the most recognizable one that I can think of, like
I'm
prior
ready
to
for my
having viewed this
close-up.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was voted 7th most quoted by AFI and 6th on Premiere Magazines. And then AFI's 24th was I'm Big. It's the pictures that got small. Was number 24.
Gotcha.
That's what everybody said when people started streaming things on their cell phones too. You just see Scorsese's eyebrows moving. Like,
You're 100% right.
oh yeah, I know.
Leo was like, I'm big. It was the pictures that got small. And that was 91 on Premieres. And then Premiere on 13th, they had, we didn't need dialogue, we had faces as their 13th most quotable line.
I don't know that I've ever heard that.
Yeah.
No, but it's a good line. It's a really good line. Like, there's so many great lines.
Oh, no, yeah.
And then, like, yeah, I agree with you that, like, you don't have to be a filmmaker to watch this movie. But as a filmmaker, it kind of, like, oddly makes this movie rough in a weird way.
Yeah,
You're
well,
like...
you do. Especially one. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, you know, it's odd to always see people, you know. I mean, I know it's fictional, but like, you know, it's like, you know, it's like the one guy's right. He's like, you know, she made it. It should be fine to be in your 50s and fucking have done what you did and do that. But yeah, also just like the psychological, you know, issues that come with young stardom and all that kind of stuff. You see the problems of that very prolific today, and a lot of it only now recently being resolved with like the people of our childhoods, you know, and you're realizing, oh wow, all that shit was really actually kind of fucked up for most of them.
The things we did to those kids was bad.
Yeah. So yeah, in that regard, it's very still in keeping with the times, you know. It's a very modern topic.
Well, and just like even with like social media at this point, and like the desire to be viewed, the desire to be seen, the like need for people to feel that attention. And that's like what she's craving. Like, she's got all the money. She says she's got oil, she's got land, she's got 3 houses. Like, she doesn't need fuck all, but she really needs that gratification that like she's worthy from other people. And that's why she kidnaps a man and makes him live with her. But then, like, also you relate to him when he's just like, I don't know if my pictures were too original or not original enough. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like,
All I know is they weren't selling.
Yep. Like, I guess I'd live with a woman older than me.
Yeah.
Be taken care of and try to write.
Yeah, not the worst gig in the world. Until she tries to kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is one of those things that's like, it has to have been weird to have been Gloria Swanson to play this role.
To play the silent film star that
that feels so
yourself.
close to her own personal life.
Yeah, she had to be very self-aware, you know what I mean? But also not as obviously, you know, nuts as this lady. Like,
she quoted that there's only one true thing in the picture, and that's I always called Mr. DeMille, and he always called me young fellow. And I worked for him, and the rest is pure nonsense. I'm not a recluse. I'm not obsessed with the past, and I don't have a young man floating in my pool.
good.
So she was a sport.
Yeah, she was
She
a real
was a witty
sport.
sport.
Yeah, she was great
Okay.
about it. And like she worked during just in radio. She did other shit.
Yeah.
And like she was obviously excited for it and like knew that she wanted to give it her all, and she does.
I mean, she's
Yeah.
great.
But like she didn't think like she
Didn't
was a
think of it as
psychopath.
her story
And it was-
at all.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
not at all.
It was in no way autobiographical.
Yeah.
That's healthy. That's
Yeah,
good.
Good for her.
She is
Glad
great.
to hear it.
Now, her waxworks,
Yes.
as he called them,
Mm-hmm.
those are all
They're all real silent picture stars.
okay. Yeah, because I saw some names in the credits.
So it's Anna Q. Nelson, who is a silent picture star,
Okay.
H.B. Warner, and Buster Keaton. So the man who says pass twice is Buster Keaton, which is like the
Jeez.
one of the biggest silent movie stars of all time, which I just kind of
It's
love.
fun.
Yeah, I
It's
think
also
that's
very
really-
sporting of them to come play the waxworks. It's very sporting. I like it a lot.
well, and like the woman on the phone at the end that's like giving the like gossip column.
Yeah.
That is Hedda Hopper, who is the top gossip columnist
Okay.
of the time.
I mean, she said her name, and I was like, "Is
And-
that really her?"
Yeah. See, there's so much of that kind of stuff that goes over our head as modern audiences. Like, even when he's, like, listing off other, actors of yesteryear and everything, it's just kind of, like, to us, it doesn't
you just have
doesn't
to like kind of
register.
agree.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
But, like, to audiences at the time, they'd have been like, oh, yeah, mm-hmm, yeah,
because
remember
in
that
50
one?
you're
Yeah.
close enough to it.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're all fucking alive in 50.
Right,
and you're
exactly,
seeing them.
exactly. But like, yeah, even in the gossip columnists, it's like when like news presenters and stuff make cameos and things, and they're talking about the
Yeah.
fictionalized news report, like like Spider-Man did that the other day that I saw. You see it all the time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that would've been-
it didn't register to me, obviously, 'cause I don't know who that is. But when you say the name, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a familiar.
It is a testament to Billy Wilder's writing, though. And I'm sorry, I know he co-wrote this one, but I don't remember his name because
Billy Wilder and Charles Brackett
it is a
and
test-
M.D. Marshman Jr.
Okay.
Marshman.
It is a
He did the
testament
bulk of
to
it.
their writing, though, that like there are a lot of what were pop culture references that just flew over all of our heads, but it's still such good writing that you're like, oh, I don't care. I'm still 100% engaged. I don't know
Yeah.
who that is, but this is I'm in it.
Even like little pieces of jargon play really well. Because like you were discussing like film jargon that like goes over your head. Because like when she says her movie and he goes, oh, it'll play well in Pomona, you like get that like he's being snide.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was reading trivia and stuff, they're talking about the reason he says Pomona specifically is at the time it's one of the 3 Inland Empire cities was Pomona, San Bernardino, and one of the other ones. And that's where they did all the test screenings was in Pomona.
Oh,
So he's like, oh, it'll play well in Pomona. So it means like it'll test well.
from
is
his
what-
acting, like you get that he's being snarky, though.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. The line doesn't even matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But like that's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like between like acting,
It
directing, and
just
the writing,
works.
like they do such a good job. Even that jargon, like you're just like, oh, okay, cool. He's being a dick. Got it.
Yeah.
I get it. Wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, it's been pretty established through other dialogue. He's a cheeky fucker, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're expecting it.
Talking about picking Gloria Swanson though, they originally went to Mae West,
Oh.
but she apparently likes to have final draft on scripts, and Billy Wilder's like, fuck that. Like,
Yeah, that's so weird. I don't like. It's such a strange thing to give like a non-writer final pass at what's written. It's just like that's like it's out of
Yeah.
it's a little out of your wheelhouse, isn't it? I can understand. There's writers turned actor and actors turned writer,
Yeah.
but like it's just a little odd. It's like it's for your image or whatever.
yeah, it's like you think that somehow like you are gonna figure out some word that's gonna
Yeah.
make you seem cooler.
Yeah.
Like, who
I
cares?
mean, supposedly, this could be wrong. I'll have to check it. She improvised a lot on set.
Oh, Mae
Mae
West.
West did. And I think she did a lot of Broadway that I think she wrote. So she was just accustomed to doing her own dialogue
I mean, to be
at
like
that point.
gossipy, rumory. That's like the big thing with Ed Norton on the Incredible Hulk movie is that he had final pass on that script, and they really butted heads against studio and him, and that's kind of what happened
Yeah.
in the production of that movie, becoming a movie that's not the best of those films.
Yeah.
But
it's definitely the black sheep.
yeah.
Yeah, like I, as a writer, would not want to give that to an actor, but I'm saying I think Mae West was accustomed to that.
Yeah, well, no,
Yeah.
because it's in her contract.
Yeah.
That's why they were like,
That's
oh, well, we can't have Mae West
She
then.
says what she wants. Yeah.
Yeah. Which,
Yeah.
like, that's why when they're talking about, like, needing the car for the new Bing Crosby picture, apparently, that was Billy Wilder, like, kind of calling out Bing Crosby
Oh.
because he was mad at him for a picture they'd done previously together where Bing would riff
Uh-oh.
and improvise his own dialogue. And Billy hated that. He's very about, I wrote these words, you do the words I like.
Well,
Yeah,
his
you tell
words
him,
are
Billy.
very good, and so.
Well, that's the
let's-
thing. Like, there's certain scripts that do lend itself to improvisation, or that
Yeah.
are written for the purpose of, like, we're showcasing this actor's ability to improvise. But yeah, there's some things where it's just like, what's written on the page is there for a reason. It's because people who are, you know.
Well, like the
have
script had a
vision.
real
Yeah.
flow and rhythm, and the characters
Yeah,
are very specific, and the dialogue was
exactly.
very
Yeah.
specific. It would have been weird to, have Norma Desmond riffing.
Yeah, I feel like movies that allow people to riff like too much just get too off track,
Yeah.
and it's really weird. And it, and it's hard to do. And I wouldn't say I'm a comedy writer, but especially comedies, I notice it in the most. It's just like, okay, somebody in the editing room thought both these jokes were funny, couldn't decide between the two, and left them both in, and now the whole scene is like just way too long, and it goes on and on and on.
I mean, if you ever want to see a real example of that, watch any unrated or uncut version of any comedy.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's exactly what
Yeah.
a good editor does, is removes all of this.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, for sure.
After Mae West, they went to Mary Pickford.
Oh,
But
Yeah.
apparently Mary Pickford, in her contract, she owns all the film negatives of her films.
oh my God.
And Billy Wilder was like, also, no.
Yeah, no, that's
That seems even more insane than a comedy actress wanting to riff.
Apparently, yeah.
She owns the film negatives.
Yeah.
Okay.
So apparently Gloria Swanson isn't insane. And that's why they went with her.
okay.
She
there
just
you go.
plays it well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
God, she does so well. Like, the thing that really, like, enraptures me watching her is, like, the physicality of her hands throughout it. You're just, like, watching them, and, like, the way she grabs him is so,
It's
like,
very scary.
a spider ensnaring him into her web. And it's just...
yeah. It's creepy and everything. Is you still feel for her though, because you understand. It's like she's for lack of a better word, almost like traumatized by the spotlight being on her. She's like so obsessed with the attention that that's all she's got on her mind. But then he gives her some attention. It's like, ooh,
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah.
It's very well done.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
she's tragic. She's
yeah,
a
and
tragic
they talk
character.
about discovering her when she was 16, and one of them's got the one line about it's terrible what a group of what the press can do, and like it's a very
Yeah.
Yeah, Cecil B. DeMille.
Old Max is pretty fucking depressing too. Like, bro, get a life, man. She moved on.
God, yeah.
Yeah, that is so
Well, she
sad.
did. She didn't.
Well, yeah, from him.
Yes.
The moment he says he was the first husband is like the darkest, like saddest moment.
Like, ah, come on, man.
You like feel
So
worse for
much.
Max than you do
Yeah.
for the guy who dies. You're like, oh
Yeah.
God.
I get why it got seeing it again, art direction and scenic design, and because you said it won the
Yeah.
Oscar for all that.
I mean,
fun.
like every time he says the place is full of her and there are hers everywhere, you're like, oh yeah, there
Yeah.
are. You're right. She's everywhere. She's filling the place.
Yeah.
the lighting also, like throughout it. But one of the moments I really, really liked was when he is in the husband's suite and she goes into the other room and the doors without doorknobs are lit like glowing eyes, and then she turns off the lights.
Yeah, the
he
watching
leaves.
eye
Yeah,
goes out. Yeah.
Of the doorknobless doors.
Yeah.
It's a lot
Maybe
of
they do away with
nice-
that too. The husband's suite. Get your own big bed, man.
We'll get back to it, Andrew.
All right.
We'll make it popular again, you and I.
Yeah.
The way I said that, it makes it sound like you and I are in
That's-
husbands.
hey,
I'm
that's
cool
fine.
with it. I'm
That's
cool with
all
it.
right.
Yeah.
You can have your bedrooms next to
Yeah,
each other.
Exactly.
Sounds great.
Yeah. Once we're rich.
So talking about Max von Mayerling, the actor that plays him is Eric von Stroheim, and I told you I'd tell you some trivia about him afterwards.
Yes.
So he was actually a filmmaker in the 20s and the 30s.
So he was actually kind of also what he was playing.
Kind of a little bit,
He was
yeah.
a silent movie director?
He was a silent film director.
Oh, wow.
He had a big flop called Greed that was like, at the time, what's so funny is that everyone talks about it being like too long and like too dark and all these things, but it's like 2.5 hours.
Oh.
But so he made Greed and that kind of
Was
flopped.
it 2.5 hours of a silent film?
Maybe. I don't know. I didn't look into Greed enough. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
But another movie he made was a movie called Queen Kelly, starring silent film star Gloria Swanson.
Oh, wow. Man, they really got an interesting group to make this movie.
Yeah.
Which is actually the film they're watching in the screening room.
Oh, shit.
Is Eric von Stroheim's Queen Kelly starring Gloria Swanson.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I know. It's another one where it's just like, that's a little too close to real life.
So this really was just a bunch of homies who got together and were like, how can we make like our lives an interesting movie?
Yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah,
For
it's
real.
cool. I mean, honestly, that's neat. I think that's fun.
Yeah.
Apparently, like, he also kept like wanting to add like, he kept like talking to Billy like, we had this like weird dark thing. Can we put this weird dark thing that he does into it? Like, let's put this thing
Bro,
into
your movie
it.
flopped. This is why I wrote this movie at you.
At one point, he
Billy
really,
Wilder's like,
kidding.
did
Yeah.
you see Double
Yeah.
Indemnity? I got this.
Yeah,
he
calm
really
down.
wanted a scene where it was like him like washing her underpants and like all sorts of things like that. Like, he was like, let's get into it.
He's like, I don't think Max is enough of a simp. We really gotta have him degradingly.
No, it's enough. He's watching her dance with another man alone on New Year's Eve
Yeah.
and sleep in.
As he's waiting to like give them cake. Like,
so
he's just
sweet.
like,
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, it makes it really awkward after he reveals that. You're like,
Yeah, like if you then rewatch it,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Nancy Olson, who plays Betty Schaefer. Apparently, when she got cast, she didn't know who Gloria Swanson was. so when she was cast, she was told it would be her, Gloria Swanson, and William Holden. And she was like, oh my gosh, am I the lead of this movie? Because she'd only ever done like, she was like, oh, I'm the lead. And then she called up her mom. She was like, Mom, I think I might be the lead of this movie. It's like me, it's William Holden, and Gloria Swanson. And her
And
mom was
her
like,
mom.
no.
Her mom's like, no, honey, it's Gloria Swanson.
Yeah.
yeah.
And she was like, oh, okay.
I like the dynamic, just like the feel that when he is with Gloria Swanson, he seems so young. And when he's with Betty, he seems so old.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
So I was listening to Unspooled, which is Paul Scheer's podcast, where he talks about the 100 AFI movie list. They watch all the movies on that. That's what they do. And they watched Sunset Boulevard. So I was listening to their episode. And they were discussing that they don't feel like the age gap between Joe and Gloria Swanson's character is large enough to make it like uncomfortable enough. But then Paul Scheer was kind of arguing that like the beauty of the movie is that Bill Holden's character is the middle.
Yeah.
He is no longer the young, excited writer, but he also isn't.
Well, because he
the
has
old
to be old
jaded.
enough to be burned out. That's
Yeah.
why he stays with her.
He even says it, and I think that's part of his, attraction to that woman in the first place. He's like, oh, she's young and has, such energy for this, and it kind of makes him kind of re-excited in it because he's been living with an old woman who's kind of a recluse for months and months. He's just like wanting to bust out of there, but yeah.
But like he also relates to her because like the industry has fucked him in his mind.
I feel like him
exactly.
being right in the middle of the two of them
It's the
age-wise is
beauty.
relevant to the plot. It's part of
Yeah.
the story.
I agree.
It's not about him being with someone way older. It's about him being caught between the two worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I certainly don't think the age gap was like weird or any, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
needed to be weirder, you know what I mean? Like,
No.
I think it worked fine the way it was. Like, you're right. Like, he spans that kind of space in between.
So when they got into makeup tests and stuff, Gloria Swanson does look very good for 50. She's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And she's apparently she was a health nut at the time. She's taking very good care of herself. She would go to parties and bring her own food because like she was regimented about what she would eat.
Okay. Interesting.
And when they got to the makeup test, they're like, "Oh, do we have to like age her up?" And then Gloria Swanson was like, "No, because she's neurotically insane about her looks.
Yeah.
This is how she would look.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're right. Let's try to age down William Holden. Like that's
Well, because she's playing her age, right?
She's playing her age.
50-ish,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
she's 50-ish. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
She is playing her age, and Holden is playing his age. But they did want to give kind of a bit of a look in their difference. So
How
instead
old
of
is Holden?
he's 31.
Okay, that's a perfect.
Yeah,
I think honestly,
Middle
just his
ground.
dress sense initially, early on, kind of gave him that look he needed, where he was a young dude, but
yeah.
like even she comments on like
His baggy clothes.
pants and his
Yeah.
jacket, and why do you always wear that same sports coat? And
I mean, that's how old I
Yeah.
thought he was 30s.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
What, I mean that's where I would have placed him.
Yeah.
30s.
That's exactly what he is.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good. I guess it all works.
Yeah. It's almost like these people cast well and were pros at their job. And,
Talking about the costuming, Edith Head was the costume designer for this
Obviously.
movie. Which, if you don't know who Edith Head is, she was a very famous designer throughout the, what would you say,
Quite a few decades.
30s, 40s, 50s,
I don't
60s,
know when she
70s,
started,
80s,
but-
2000s, tomorrow, the next day, I don't know, for forever.
Yes.
But she, what's funny about her to me is that, have you seen The Incredibles, Andrew?
yes.
So, Edna Mode?
Yeah.
She's based, like, her look is based on Edith Head.
No. Okay.
She's like a joke on Edith Head. That's
okay.
the whole joke of
Edith
Right.
had dressed
Edna Mode.
every star, though. Yeah, from like pretty early on through like she dressed Audrey Hepburn. and-
Okay.
Well,
cool.
the first movie she worked on was Wings, which was the first Academy Awards.
Oh, cool.
So that was 30 something, right?
So the 30s, yeah, she did it for
Yeah.
through the 60s then?
Yeah, I think so.
If she dressed Audrey Hepburn? Yeah.
But yeah,
She dressed the golden age of Hollywood.
That's fun.
yeah.
Cool.
That's a
makes-
really
yeah.
weird deep
I
cut
was
in The
gonna say-
Incredibles.
I was gonna say that. Yeah, that makes so much sense. I'm gonna go watch it with a new lens now.
But like, if you look up a picture of Edith Head, you'll be like, oh yeah, that is Edna Mode.
Hey, I'm gonna do it right now.
yeah.
Keep talking about me.
All right, I will. So the opening shot of William Holden
In the pool?
in the pool,
Yeah.
which I guess isn't the opening shot, but
Are you talking about the underwater shot?
I am talking the underwater
It's a very
shot.
nice shot.
It's a beautiful shot.
Yeah.
And the wacky thing is that in 1950, there were no underwater cameras.
I was thinking about that when we saw that shot. I was like, they're under a pane of glass, aren't they?
They are not under a pane of glass.
Oh, okay.
That's a very good guess, Lolo Loren.
What they do then?
Andrew Tady, do you want to give your expert filmmaker opinion? You have a little bit of an advantage because it's not under a pane of glass.
I was looking at pictures of you.
Doesn't she look like Edna
Yeah.
Mode?
So, recap. What was that?
The shot from the shot from underwater when he's
Uh-huh.
floating in the pool.
How do you think they did it? It's 1950.
They don't have underwater cameras.
Underwater cameras don't exist yet.
They had a glass bottom, and they put the cameras underneath it.
No. That is not what they did.
They put the camera in a glass box and put it underwater.
No, but great guesses, everyone. There's a mirror on the bottom of the pool that
Okay.
they're shooting the mirror reflecting up at the people looking down and people looking down onto
so the
it.
camera was just
At an
next to the
angle.
pool. Huh?
The camera's just next to the pool, looking at an angled mirror.
That's clever. I
Well,
like
that's
that.
way simpler than.
Yeah.
Because it's a real pool.
Yeah.
We could do that.
Oh yeah. We're totally gonna steal that.
We also own a GoPro.
That actually, well,
Yeah, but fuck it, Patrick. That's more fun. No, but seriously, we and Sam used to do that kind of shit all the time, where it was like, oh well, yeah, you could do that, but like we want to use the trick we saw in the behind the scenes on this movie. That's what we want to do. We don't care if there's an easier way to do it.
Like one of
part
my
of the
favorite
fun.
ones.
Are you gonna talk about Star Trek?
Yeah, Star Trek's
Star Trek's
one of my favorite ones.
Okay.
In the J.J. Abrams remake of Star Trek,
Yes.
the shot of them doing like the skydiving in the like weird spacesuit things.
There's a shot where they're under them and they're skydiving straight down, falling into camera.
At one point, they tried to rig them up and then like flip them upside down and like lay on the ground and shoot up at them, but the actors kept passing out.
You can't be upside down that long.
So they're like, "Fuck, we can't do this." Well, what can we do? They literally just had the actors stand on mirrors and they're standing there just
Out in the
jiggling
parking lot.
out in the parking lot.
Outside the studio. They just went outside, put mirrors on the ground, and filmed down onto them so the sky was reflected under them and they're looking up.
I'm gonna steal that too.
It's so good. And
Yeah.
it looks so good.
Yeah.
The The simplest tricks.
We going out and buying a bunch of mirrors tomorrow, y'all.
Hell yeah. Hit up all the thrift stores.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew's like, I'm writing films around these
Yeah.
2 shots.
Getting some duct tape.
So meeting Cecil B. DeMille
Yes.
on set. What's really fun is that they're actually on set of Cecil B. DeMille's film, Samson and Delilah,
Oh,
which was the top grossing film of that year.
He really got into the Bible ones for a minute there, didn't he?
He did, because didn't he also do...
It's at Ten Commandments.
Ten Commandments,
He
yeah,
did,
that's
he
what I
did it
thought.
twice. He did it as a silent movie, and then he did it again with the one that we all know.
goodness.
Yeah.
He must have liked the Bible, that Mr. DeMille.
Man, I do just love it when people play themselves in movies, too, though. I just always think it's fun.
And it
So
makes
that
him
was just
seem so
great.
sweet.
It does.
Yeah.
Like, he seems so sweet in this one.
That's probably why he took the part.
True.
Yeah, he's like, oh, that makes me
Yeah,
look
this paints
good.
me in a very good light. I'm a good dude.
Apparently, one of the big reasons he wanted to do it was because he loves Gloria Swanson,
Mm-hmm.
but
That's cool.
he calls her young fellow, like like you call all women.
He said
Yeah.
that in the movie, and I was like, all right.
I
But
thought that
that's
was a little
cute if
strange,
that
yeah.
was his actual.
Yeah, apparently that's what he actually called Gloria Swanson.
Well, it's a million times better than the way some directors have treated their young leading ladies. So I think young fellow is a
We're
good.
gonna start using that on set now.
I think we should.
Amber's young fellow now.
I love it.
It's like affectionate and 100% non-sexual in the way he says it to her.
You're 100% right. So Schwab's Drugstore,
Mm-hmm.
which was like the hangout that they're
Yeah.
talking about. First off, when we went to LA, we drove all of Sunset Boulevard. It was
Yeah.
amazing because you have to when you
Yeah,
go
oh,
nowadays.
yeah.
Like you gotta
Yeah.
drive the whole strip. I looked up Schwab's Drugstore, and we totally drove by where it would have been had it still existed. It got torn down. It's a mall now.
Sure.
It's sad.
Of course.
Yeah,
Like they do.
but at the time, it really was like the hangout for all of the writers and like some directors and a couple producers, and like that is where the film industry people would like hang out and drink and wait for phone calls.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Like a drugstore, you don't think of it. It's something that's not a thing anymore.
Yeah, well, because drugstores
Yeah.
used to be like soda shops.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't see that anymore. There's like
Yeah.
retro ones and stuff around, but like, yeah, definitely not.
I
Well,
wonder
they
is-
did often, at least in movies and shit, in the way that in photographs, have multiple phones, which when you didn't have a phone or so, like it was like a convenient like
Yeah.
place to be reached.
Yeah. You just have them call down at the drugstore and then you just wait.
Eh,
Yeah, it's a different world.
Yeah.
yeah.
I want to go wait at a drugstore and write shit with other artists. Like, that sounds great.
Yeah.
I like that environment.
Yeah.
I'm reminiscent. I've got rose-colored glasses for it. So, Billy Wilder and voiceover. Because voiceover is obviously used pretty heavily in this.
Yeah.
I don't know if he used it a lot in other movies. I assume he did, at least in movies he wrote, because there's a quote about him and why he used voiceover, why he used narration. He says, I like narration for 2 reasons. 1, narration allows you to get through a lot of exposition right away. You can jump much deeper into the story if someone's bringing you up to speed all the time, which is just true. Which is why Lolo thinks narration is lazy.
It's yes, that's what I was gonna say. It's true, but yeah, I agree. I think it's a quick way to get I use it in stuff too, obviously, but it's usually stuff I'm less invested in. Like if it's like something commercial, it's like, all right, the easiest way to get your point across is this, and the average person watching this doesn't care about that. But if it's like some kind of like high art shit or something, yeah, I'm gonna err on the side of no narration.
Yeah, it's the thing I usually don't like and often find to be lazy writing. But this is one of the few films I feel like it adds to it. It's not like a cop out to like get around stuff. I feel like it really having his voice added to it. I don't know. I like it in this.
Well, so he says the second reason he likes it is second, I'm a satirist, and narration allows me to comment on the action.
Well, that's I was gonna say it depends on the style you're going for, because there is like reading a book, you get so much nuance like that where you wouldn't get that in a movie,
Yeah.
and so in that regard, that does add a different element. I hadn't even thought of that, but yeah, but it's still I don't know, for me something that kind of separates books from movies to me.
Like
but
Billy Wilder, though, in this, used it as a way to, like he gives another voice to the piece that is kind of like a directorial voice, because he can tell you like how this thing is being perceived by a third party and how you should be perceiving it because of that, which is just an interesting way to use narration, kind of. And I think I don't want to say the right way, but like, kind of the right way.
It's not only there for exposition, even though he says he likes it for that.
It's all subjective.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. This is a really famous, beautiful Billy Wilder story that I feel like I had to tell.
Okay.
And I'd heard it before. And apparently, Wilder and Nancy Reagan were at an event together, and she was asking him, what was the true meaning of the dead chimp at the start of this movie? Because there was like a lot of concern for a lot of people when they saw this movie. It was like, what's the purpose of the chimp? What's the meaning of the chimp? What's the symbolism of the chimp? And apparently Billy Wilder, being kind of sardonic and sarcastic and
very witty and
very
dark.
witty, responded to her saying, don't you understand? Before Joe Gillis came along, she was fucking the monkey.
God damn.
To which apparently Nancy Reagan nearly passed out.
Yeah, as she would.
Yeah.
Little Nancy. God damn.
What the fuck is the true meaning of the monkey?
I think it was just to show that she was eccentric and lonely.
It's just
That's
like,
what I got out of it.
It just
anyways.
like establishes her character very
Yeah.
quickly. Like it really sets the tone.
In what
I don't
ways?
think it. She's eccentric, but like caring, but you know, like she had this deep connection, but not to people. Like she's the crazy cat lady, but she's rich, so it's a monkey.
Yeah.
I think we should get an English teacher on it and read way too much into it.
I mean, so a
the
lot of people
monkey,
do. That's
she
why I'm
sees
asking.
him as her new pet, as opposed to
I
the
mean,
monkey.
yeah.
That's what I think. I think the monkey kind of foreshadows Joe Gillis and his fate, because like she obviously loved the monkey and cared for it.
Yeah.
But it is a pet. It's a companion that you take care of, and she's sad at its passing, but she's also not that. You know what I mean? She's like so quick to move on, and so
she's like, oh, but I have this script.
Yeah, and so it also kind of just shows what's going to happen to Joe, is that Joe is going to become her pet, the thing she keeps in her home, in a zoo, in a cage.
Yeah.
And then when he dies, like, I mean, obviously she's suffering a mental break.
At that point, she breaks. Yeah.
But like, she does just kind of carry on as if a thing hasn't died.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's kind of the symbolism of the monkey.
Yeah, I
but
agree.
it is fully English teachered a
Yeah,
lot.
for sure.
And I did have to write a paper about this monkey.
Excellent. Great.
So the last big topic I kind of wanted to discuss is film noir. This film is considered film noir. And first off, I guess the first question could be, is it film noir? And to really discuss that, I think we need to know what film noir is. So it was first coined in 1946 by a French critic, Nino Frank. But it wasn't until the 1970s that film noir really became part of like film criticism vernacular.
Okay.
And it was mostly used to talk about films that had already been made. So it's kind of talked in the past tense.
Well, yeah, because most what I would consider noirs are, from 40s and 50s.
Yeah, it's a subgenre from the 40s, 50s, and 60s mostly. And at the time, most of those films were considered melodramas, which a melodrama is a work with sensationalized plot and strong emotional appeal, preceded over detailed characterization. So it's more about like large sensational plot and emotion than it is about...
Well, what is the noir defined as then?
So the noir was then looked at as films from the 40s, 50s, and 60s associated with low-key lighting, creating a chiaroscuro effect, which means there's a strong light contrast between light and dark, whereas most films use three-point lighting, a key, a fill, and a backlight, as we all know. Low-key lighting generally uses a key light and possibly a reflector, but generally it's a single light source lit film, a black and white visual style, and has visual roots in German expressionist cinematography, such as The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, Nosferatu, Metropolis, and is signaturely features unbalanced compositions. So that's kind of what noir is. They're generally influenced by American hard-boiled crime fiction as a genre, and that kind of, all of that creates noir. Lolo's giving me a look as if I'm a fucking asshole.
Not you.
Wow.
Lola hates pretension.
That's fair.
And you think that all
I
these
just feel
terms
like,
are kind of...
yeah, I just feel like that's all like nonsense because like, does it have elements of both those genres you just described? Yes. Is it weird to like care much about if it fits into one or the other specifically? Like, yeah, because like it does utilize a lot of like, I feel like high contrast lighting, but I don't think looking at it, it's a single light source like some of the really extreme films.
Not always.
I think it's more, has a lot more lights than that, but stylistically it is like there is a lot of like heavy lights and darks. It's not the super soft lighting of a lot of movies, but it's also like it is a melodrama.
I feel like a lot of people generalize a lot of old movies as just like noir-esque. Because
Yeah.
there's elements of just that prevalent in Hollywood generally through like, I mean, it spans several decades. And a lot of times just because everything's semi-derivative of what came before it. And the techniques are derivative of what came before it just because that's the standard. And so, yeah, like you said, you can draw elements of both. I don't think it's fair to pigeonhole it into either category.
So in 1955, French critics Raymond Bourdet and Etienne Chaumont defined 5 elements that they believed made up a noir.
Okay.
And those 5 elements that a noir should include in their mind are dreamlike, strange, erotic, ambivalent, and cruel. But some contain more of one element, where some may be more dreamlike, and less of another element, where like one could be like mostly dreamlike and very little on the cruel. But another one could be like all erotic and cruel and not very dreamlike or ambivalent, and like, and so you're like, well, that's fucking loose. Yeah,
absolutely.
And that feels also like the like thing of like you have to learn the rules so you can break them, you know, like you do have to learn how to do a thing, but then you have to not care about the rules you learned once you've learned them.
So it's one of these things
So
that
it's kind of
the further you get into like the what is noir like rabbit hole, it feels like that like quote about pornography, like the what is pornography? I don't know, but I know it when I see it. Like that's kind of what it starts to feel about noir.
Right.
In that like none of these are specific enough.
I mean, it definitely has. I mean, like, I think Double Indemnity, that is also Billy Wilder, like, what, a decade earlier? More than?
Like 5 years earlier.
Oh, 5 years earlier? Oh, I thought you said it was late 30s.
It's the 40s.
Oh, 40s. Okay, well, whatever. Like, that is considered one of the best noirs ever made.
Yep.
And I feel like
this is also considered
stylistically, this has a lot of the same vibes and feeling, but it's also a Billy Wilder film. So, like, he just kind of has that, like, dark, weird, dreamlike element in both. But I don't know.
I mean, this does hit those 5 elements, I would say. It fits dreamlike, strange, erotic, ambivalent, and cruel.
There's lots of movies that can do that, though. I would not remotely class as noirs, though. Like, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's...
So like there's a lot of modern movies
elements,
that hit that aren't necessarily...
And you've got, like, the lighting style, and you have influence in American hard-boiled crime fiction. Does that make you a noir, then? Do you need all of that? Well,
hang on. What are they?
Dreamlike, strange, erotic, ambivalent, cruel.
So is David Lynch's Dune a noir?
Yes.
Okay.
He would hope so.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's exactly what... Yeah. I mean, he said that this is one of his main influences in filmmaking.
Okay.
What we just watched, and that he is a he is a neo-noir director.
Okay.
Okay. And Blade Runner is a noir.
Okay.
I guess perhaps in that regard, the definition of noir is rather maybe, and again, I'm over analyzing it here for the sake of argument.
Yeah.
Perhaps older films aren't generalized as noir, but noir is generalized more as old films. whereas we just where like, you know,
it's a thing we only think of when we think of old Hollywood.
yeah, exactly, and like particular tropes.
Well, because I mean, nowadays we have a huge genre of like the neo-noir. That would be like the films of David Lynch. A lot of the Coen brother films hit that neo-noir.
But stylistically, a large step away from what we just watched, or even like very stereotypically noir movies.
So that, I mean, they're hitting
Chris Nolan hits a lot of the
those-
noir tropes.
So a lot of neo-noir hits those 5 rules, but not the visual rules that were at one point associated with it, of like a
Do you think
single
so?
light source. And
I would say a lot of them have like a low-key
well,
lighting scheme.
Dune didn't.
Okay.
Dune tonally fit it,
Yeah,
but visually did not.
I would agree.
It does not have a low-key lighting. It's very wash for a lot of it.
Blade Runner has a low-key light scheme.
Blade Runner does.
And so do a lot of the films of Christopher Nolan and the Coen brothers. Like Blood Simple, very much.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I mean,
Alright.
I don't care either way. Just to
Yeah.
put that out there, you know, regardless, you know, I can enjoy it on other merits. You know, I don't feel like anything has to be pigeonholed with. You can draw influences from all kinds of stuff, and I think that's what makes things in movies now interesting, and even back then, but especially now, we have such a broader palette to, quite frankly, steal things from, you know, and that's, I think, what makes current stuff interesting.
I would agree, actually. What I think is interesting. So right now in criticism, a lot of people are discussing, like, is neo-noir a genre per se? Or do we just need to call it noir? Because at this point, like, we're calling neo-noir, new noir, films that were made in 1980.
Which, if it is just a tone, though, that is like nonsense, because we don't make neo-dramas and neo-comedies.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
We don't make neo-sci-fi. We just make
We just keep making
dramas
sci-fi.
and comedies.
Yeah, these people are
and-
still just making
Yes.
noir films. Why are we calling it new noir?
Yeah.
Like it's
because it's not black and white anymore,
because it's
Patrick.
color now. Yeah, like,
Because some vehicle floats and it shouldn't in this movie. Yeah, no, that's we've stumbled upon an interesting point here. No, yeah, but that's strange. I never even thought of it in that regard. But yeah, weird.
so those movies might just be noir.
Yeah.
And the next question is like, is noir a genre per se? Like an action film, a comedy, a drama,
I mean,
a war
so
film,
really, if you get into it, though, like, sorry.
or is noir a style?
Well, okay, so that's, I think, getting too hung up on categories at all, though, is nonsense. Because, well,
Agreed,
no,
yeah.
because, like, if you, just as an example, as a director I like, who I think overlaps a lot of genres in a single film, is Adam Mckay.
You do love Adam Mckay.
Well, but, like,
I also
you
love Adam
know,
McKay. I'm
'cause,
not judging you. I love
like,
Adam
What's he
McKay.
done?
the housing short, I've lost the name
He did
of
The
it.
Big Short.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, now I know. Yep. Okay.
He did the Dick Cheney movie.
Yep. Yep.
He just did Don't Look Up, which I haven't seen yet, but everyone's raving about it on the Facebook.
That's why it sounded familiar, because that's been in the
And
headlines recently.
Anchorman
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And Step Brothers.
and Step Brothers.
But so, like, I mean, Anchorman and Step Brothers are comedy satire.
Yep.
But a lot of the other ones, like The Big Short,
And whatever Dick
And
Cheney.
whatever the
is
Dick
it just
Cheney
called
movie.
Dick? Vice.
Vice.
There we go.
The Big Short.
great.
For a second, I was like, is it just
Vice-
called Dick? Like, what the fuck?
No,
That'd be a
was
good title,
That was a
though.
different movie about Tricky Dicky.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't
It was
realize.
old.
Oh,
older
okay.
movie, Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Those two films of his especially cross so many categories. Like, there's like,
Yeah.
it's weird to be like, well, it's a drama, but it's also a comedy, but it's also a biopic, but it's also like The Big Short's also almost like a document. Like, they're weird 2-camera narration, weird montages of news. Like, it's a very, like, there's a lot of things encompassed in his pictures. Not everybody spans that much, but like,
Yeah, his filmmaking style is very unique.
yeah.
I would agree. I don't know if his filmmaking style spans a bunch of different, like, styles per se, because it is almost his own in a way. But you're right, I guess it's genre. It hits a lot of genres.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it's I don't know. I think most filmmakers don't. Well, some do. Never mind.
What?
I don't think all. Never mind. No, I was about to be rude. I'm good.
But now me and Andrew really want to know, right, Andrew?
Yes.
What were you going to say? I'll cut it if it's that rude.
Well, just like...
But there will forever be some digital record that
I just feel like, I don't know. I don't feel like most filmmakers set out, like you set out with like films that inspired you and films that were hugely influential and inspiration. You're like, oh, I love the visuals in this. Oh, I'm going to steal the mirror tricks from all these movies.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not like setting out like, I'm going to make this exact genre of film and it's going to fit right into the rules of that genre. And I'm going to make sure it match, like you're not trying to make something. I feel like usually like we like to make comedies. We like to make things that are funny, but within that we've made comedies that are in different genres. Like,
but
we're not
each time we do that, we look at those films and try to fit the tropes of those genres or to twist the tropes of those genres. But it is like learning the rules to break the rules.
Yeah, and that's often for comedic effect in your guys' case.
Yeah, I guess that is specific because we are parodying though.
But that being said, there are people that do set out to basically follow a formula, and I think that isn't often a successful way to go about it, because then you are just like straight ripping something off.
Yeah,
that's kind of where I was worried about being rude. Was I was gonna say the filmmakers I enjoy have so much originality though that it doesn't feel like it feels like they were inspired by a lot of other movies, and you can see the influence and you can see the things they did steal like an artist, but they don't perfectly fit into anything, and that's what makes it original.
I would say
original
though,
or not original.
The purpose,
just so it doesn't sell.
The purpose of genre and style, though, I would say, as discussing like noir or as discussing other genres, is yes, they are boxes that films do operate within, because it's a shorthand of telling an audience what kind of thing they're in for.
Yeah.
Because if your movie is stylistically confused or doesn't fit a genre in a way that makes sense, it's not going to be enjoyable for an audience.
But not all audience.
Unless you execute it perfectly.
I don't think...
Because like Parasite is a horror film that's also a comedic family drama, but it's executed with immense skill.
I would say a film cannot be confused in the genre sense doesn't hurt it, because I think genre chaos is fine. I think if it's confused tonally, it's shit.
Yeah.
And I think that's different.
I would agree with that for sure.
I think you're right, maybe.
Yeah. We'll listen back to it later. We'll get to the bottom of it.
Now I'm just being pretentious and talking out my ass, but I think if as long as tonally it's consistent throughout the film, it works, even if it's a mess of genres and flips through a bunch of them, because Parasite does. Tonally, it's consistent through the whole movie, so you like feel this tension of what you're in for, but it starts very much as like a family dramedy and escalates into horror, but the tone is the same through the whole thing, so you don't feel shocked or startled or confused. You feel it coming.
Yeah, I feel like that's why, I mean, an example I can think of is like television shows often, episodically play with different genres and tropes, but tonally everything still fits under the umbrella of whatever that show is. Yeah. And it doesn't completely throw you off, the overarching situation that's going on if it's done well, I guess. Yeah. But again, if it's executed well.
I guess I agree. Tone rules overall. As long as the characters behave in a way that is believable to the thing that's pre-established.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, I think that's what it's about, is like you set up a world that has some sort of rules within how characters behave and interact, and how the world interacts with itself, and you can play with its genre, you can play with its style even, like you were saying with TV shows especially, but as long as it still constrains to those initial rules, it pretty much works. As long as tonally it's the same. Is that what you're saying to me?
Yeah.
I think I agree with you. Wonderful.
Good.
Cool.
Wow.
Well, thank you so much for having that argument with me.
I'd say more of
You're
a
welcome.
conversation than an argument.
Yeah.
I don't feel like there was, you know.
I mean, well, we've decided we're getting rid of the term neo-noir.
I mean, on
right?
that note, though, like, I don't know if noir is a genre or a tone still, because it's definitely a feeling more than, like, a thing that happens.
I feel like there's a certain amount of, like, something's been given that name and just colloquially it's used to describe things. It's transcended whether or not it's a genre or not. It's almost an adjective that to describe
Yeah.
you know, a certain like look or feel. You know, people go,
Yeah.
oh, it's an old timey detective movie with high key lighting. It's noir. Like, you know,
Yeah.
if you want me to distill it down to three things, that's kind of what I generalize noir as. You know, which is why I wouldn't immediately go, oh, this is a noir.
Yeah.
You know? Whereas, you know, I mean, it's like music too. Like people say indie music. It could be on a major label, but if it's got jangly guitars and sounds like it might have been recorded in somebody's garage, it's indie music. Whether
Yeah.
it's making millions of dollars getting played on the radio, it doesn't matter. It's been
Yeah.
the
Done in the
original
style.
name. Yeah, the original name is, you know, more descriptor than actual
Yeah.
than actually what it is. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like porn. I just know it when I see it.
Yeah, there you go. Back to that old.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on Sunset Boulevard?
I think I've already shared more thoughts than I
Yeah.
had.
Yeah.
Shared more thoughts than I had. Wonderful. Well, thank you for being here, Andrew Tady.
Yeah, of course.
Yes,
it was
thank
fun. It was lots of
you.
fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for the treats. It was a good time.
It was.
We
Happy
should-
New Year's.
Yeah,
Yeah,
happy New Year's,
Happy New
everybody.
Year's.
Happy New Year's.
We should make sure to tell audiences that if they love Andrew Tady like we love Andrew Tady,
Mhm.
they should go to Tady Brothers Productions
Mhm.
YouTube, click subscribe,
Indeed.
watch Under the Sun, watch all of the old Sherlock Holmes stuff. You can see him
It's
in
good
it.
stuff.
He plays Watson. He's amazing. He's great at everything he does.
That's true.
Thanks.
And if you like us, do the click subscribe and all that jazz.
Yep.
And head on over to patreon.com/IXFilmProductions if you really love us.
Indeed.
Just support us throughout the year 2022. That'd be really great for us. That's my New Year's resolution, is for you to support me.
That's easy. Yeah, make your resolution something others have to.
I think it's genius.
It's a new angle.
My resolution is to give them the joy of my movies.
There you go. There you go.
And we've got
So-
a bunch of cool things
yeah.
planned for the new year, actually.
We do.
So-
We do have a new sketch we just put out for Christmas. Go see our Little Women parody.
Oh, yeah, we did. We put that out. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
me too.
Yeah, that was fun.
Oh, thank you so much.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed the fun compositing I did for it.
Yeah, it turned out really nice. A lot of that was really seamless.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
right.
And yeah, love you guys.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Mr. Demille, I'm ready for my close-up.
And scene.